My name is Diego, and I was there when Helen's story changed forever. It was a crisp autumn day in October 2021, the kind that promised renewal but delivered heartache. As she stood in the crowded cafe, her ex-husband's name hung like a storm cloud over her. She smiled, but her heart ached with the weight of memories that seemed to drown out the laughter around her. The scent of rain on pavement filled the air, mingling with the distant traffic that echoed like a reminder of a life she once loved. Every sound was amplified. The clinking of cups and the murmur of conversations felt like a cruel backdrop to her internal struggle. She smiled but trembled, caught in a world where joy and pain danced too closely. How can blood turn to poison like this? What nobody knew was that this moment was only the beginning of a revelation that would shake her to her core. Just as she was lost in thought, the door swung open, and in walked her son-in-law. He had a mischievous glint in his eye, one that hinted he was up to something. Earlier that week, he had tried to play a trick on her, insisting that he'd found a hidden fortune in an old family album, a fortune that had turned out to be nothing more than a joke. But today, the playful facade felt different. His presence seemed to carry an unspoken message, as if he held the key to secrets Helen was not ready to face. The tension in the air thickened, and in that moment, she knew her life was on the brink of an upheaval she could never have anticipated. The rain had just stopped, leaving a fresh scent that lingered on the pavement. Helen stood on her porch, cradling a steaming mug of fresh coffee, watching the droplets bead on the railing. The distant sound of traffic buzzed softly in the background, a familiar soundtrack to her peaceful suburban life. She took a deep breath, feeling the cool air fill her lungs, her heart swelling with a mix of gratitude and determination. This was her haven, a place where she had poured her love and strength into every corner, crafting a home for her family. "Hey, Helen, need a hand with that?" Jake called out, his voice deceptively cheerful as he approached the porch. He had a charming smile, one that could easily disarm anyone who didn't know him well. Helen felt a slight unease wash over her as he stepped closer. It had been years since they had parted ways, yet there he was, appearing out of the blue, eager to lend a hand with the property paperwork she had been meticulously organizing. "Oh my God, Jake, I can't believe you're actually here," Helen said, trying to mask her surprise with a light laugh. "What brings you by?" Jake leaned casually against the porch railing, his blue eyes sparkling with a feigned sincerity. "Just thought I'd check in on you, make sure everything's all right with the land. You've been working so hard. It can't be easy doing it all alone." Helen's heart sank. She had always been the rock of the family, and here was Jake pretending to be the supportive ex-husband. The way he lingered on the word land made her instincts flare. What was he really after? "Thanks, but I've got it covered," she replied, her voice firm. "I'm just sorting through some old documents." "Come on, let me help. I can help you make sense of it," he insisted, stepping onto the porch as if he belonged there. The scent of rain mixed with the aroma of her coffee, creating a bittersweet ambience. She could feel the tension in the air, a weight pressing down on her as the unease grew. Helen glanced at the papers spread out on the small table beside her. Each document was a piece of her history, a testament to the hard work she had put into the property. "Really, Jake, it's fine. I appreciate the offer, but—" He interrupted her, his tone shifting to a more persuasive note. "I could help you get everything sorted out faster. I mean, you don't want to be stuck in the past, do you? This place has so much potential." Helen took a sip of her coffee, the warm liquid grounding her amidst the storm of her thoughts. Cultural reflection. In the porch, it hurt like strength. Memories of family gatherings, laughter echoing off the walls, flooded her mind. They were moments that belonged to her, not to Jake. "Do you really think I would let you waltz back into my life and take over?" she asked, raising an eyebrow. Jake chuckled lightly, but it didn't reach his eyes. "I'm just saying, it would make things easier for you. Think of all the time you could save." Her pulse quickened. "What are you really after, Jake? You never cared about this place when we were together. Why now? He leaned in closer, his voice low and conspiratorial. Because, Helen, it's not just about the land, it's about opportunity. Together, we could make something great out of it. Helen felt a chill run down her spine. The underlying implication hung heavily in the air. Thought, the smell of fresh coffee brought painful memories. She had worked so hard to keep her family together after the divorce, and now Jake was here, trying to manipulate her into sharing what was rightfully hers. Opportunity for you, maybe, she replied, her voice steady, but not for me. Just then, the door creaked open, and Rachel stepped outside, her expression a mix of curiosity and mischief. What's going on here? Oh, just discussing some old business, Jake said smoothly, flashing his charming smile at Rachel. Business, huh? Like trying to convince Helen to let you back in? Rachel's tone dripped with skepticism. Helen felt a surge of relief at her sister's presence, even if Rachel had always been a bit envious of her success. Come on, Rachel, Jake said, his voice dripping with false sweetness. I'm just looking out for family. Family, Rachel scoffed. Since when do you care about family? Helen couldn't help but smile at Rachel's defense, feeling the strength of unity between them. Exactly. My family has always been here, and they've always had my back, she said, locking eyes with her sister. Jake's smile faltered, his charm waning under the weight of their shared resolve. Look, I just thought I could help, he muttered, the facade slipping away. Well, thanks, but no thanks, Helen replied, her voice clear. I can handle this on my own, and I don't need your help. As Jake walked away, Helen felt a wave of relief wash over her, mixed with a lingering anxiety. Reflection. That moment at the porch changed everything. She had stood her ground, but the encounter had revealed a darkness lurking beneath the surface. She turned to Rachel, who was watching her closely. You okay? Rachel asked, her voice softer now. Yeah, I will be, Helen replied, though doubt gnawed at her. The battle for her land was just beginning, and she needed to stay strong. Mark's voice echoed in her mind, a reminder of the loyal friend who had always been there for her. She couldn't let Jake or Rachel pull her down. With every ounce of strength, she would fight for what was rightfully hers. Helen stood in her living room, the faint smell of rain on the pavement drifting through the open window, mingling with the warm scent of apple pie cooling on the counter. The gentle chirping of birds outside provided a backdrop to her thoughts, but her heart felt heavy. It had been a month since her husband, David, passed away, and she was still grappling with the loss, trying to piece together the fragments of their life together. She had always believed that the land they had cultivated was secure, a legacy for her children and grandchildren, but today that sense of security was about to be shattered. As Helen sifted through the boxes of David's belongings, her fingers brushed against something that felt out of place. She pulled out a hidden file, dusty and worn, and her heart sank. Inside were legal documents that hinted at a potential dispute over land ownership, documents she had never seen before. Oh my God, what is this? She whispered to herself, her voice barely above a murmur. The realization began to dawn on her. David might have known there was trouble brewing, and he had kept it from her. Just then, Jake strolled into the room, that charming smile plastered on his face, but something about it felt off. Hey there, Helen. I thought I'd come by to help you with the estate stuff, he said, his tone light, as if they were discussing the weather instead of a looming crisis. Helen's eyes narrowed, and she held the file tightly to her chest. I don't need your help, Jake, not now, she replied, her voice firm but laced with an undertone of fear. Come on, don't be like that. We're family, Jake insisted, stepping closer. I mean, it would be easier if we worked together on this. Family, she scoffed, the anger bubbling up inside her. You've never acted like family to me. You've always been more interested in what you can gain. Jake shrugged, feigning indifference, but Helen could see the flicker of annoyance in his eyes. I just want what's best for you, Helen. You're going to need support." At that moment, Helen felt a rush of emotions, sadness, betrayal, and a flicker of hope that perhaps Mark could help her navigate this mess. "Mark will be here soon," she said, trying to keep her voice steady. "He knows more about this than I do." Jake's expression darkened. "You don't need him. I can help you with all of this. Trust me." Helen shook her head, her heart racing. "Trust you? After everything that's happened?" She gestured to the files still clutched in her hands. "You're the last person I'd trust with anything, especially now." As the tension filled the room, Helen felt the walls closing in around her, the weight of the legal documents heavy in her grasp. Reflection. That moment in the living room changed everything. She had always tried to keep her family united, to be the glue that held them together, but now it felt like she was standing at a precipice, teetering on the edge of disaster. Just then, the doorbell rang, shattering the silence. Helen's heart raced with a mix of relief and dread. "That's Mark," she said, moving toward the door, ready to embrace the support she desperately needed. Jake's face twisted in frustration. "You don't need him, you need to think clearly," he said, his voice rising. Helen opened the door, and Mark stood there, a reassuring presence in the storm swirling around her. "Hey, Helen, I brought those documents you asked for," he said, stepping inside and immediately sensing the tension. "Thanks, Mark," Helen said, grateful for his calm demeanor. "I think I need your help more than ever." Mark glanced at Jake, his eyes narrowing. "What's going on here?" Jake's charm faltered as he took a step back. "Just a little family discussion," he said, forcing a smile. "Family? Really?" Mark shot back, crossing his arms. "Because it doesn't look that way to me." Helen could see the protective instinct in Mark's stance, and it made her heart swell with gratitude. "I found these," she said, holding up the file, "and I'm afraid it could mean trouble with the land." Mark's expression shifted to concern as he took the file from her. "Let me take a look," he said, scanning the documents quickly. "This isn't good, Helen. We need to act fast." Helen felt a rush of panic wash over her. "What does this mean? Is there really a chance I could lose everything?" Mark met her gaze, his voice steady. "We'll fight this, but we need to be smart about it. You're not alone in this." Jake stood frozen, his facade of charm shattered, revealing the desperation lurking beneath. "You can't be serious," he said, his voice low. "You're going to choose him over family?" Helen's heart raced, but she felt a renewed sense of resolve. "You're right, Jake. Family is important, but I won't let anyone take what's mine. Not anymore." The room filled with silence, heavy with unspoken truths. Helen knew this was just the beginning of a long battle, but for the first time in a while, she felt a glimmer of hope. With Mark by her side, she was ready to confront the challenges ahead. Helen took a deep breath. "We need to have a serious conversation." Jake tensed up. About what exactly? The morning sun spilled golden light over the porch, illuminating the chipped paint and the weathered wood that had withstood countless seasons. Helen cradled her steaming mug of fresh coffee, the rich aroma mingling with the scent of blooming jasmine from the garden. Birds chirped merrily in the trees, a stark contrast to the turmoil brewing in her heart. She had spent the last few days drowning in confusion and despair, the weight of Jake's deceit looming over her like a dark cloud. As she sipped, her mind replayed the moment she discovered the hidden file among David's belongings, the legal documents that had shaken her to her core. The implication of a dispute over land ownership hung heavy in the air, and she couldn't shake the feeling that something was deeply wrong. Oh my God, how could this be happening? Just then, Mark appeared at the gate, his familiar figure cutting through her haze of worry. He waved, a reassuring smile on his face, and Helen felt a flicker of hope. Maybe he had some insight that would help her navigate this mess. "Hey, Helen, you look like you've been through the ringer," Mark said as he approached, taking a seat beside her on the porch. "It's this whole land situation, Mark," Helen sighed, her heart sinking. "Jake and Rachel are trying to pull a fast one on me. I can't believe they'd stoop so low." Mark leaned in, his brow furrowed with concern. "Have you talked to a lawyer yet? You can't let them walk all over you." Before she could respond, a shadow flickered across her porch, and there was Rachel, her expression a mix of feigned innocence and barely concealed malice. Helen's stomach twisted at the sight of her sister, the envy in Rachel's eyes as palpable as the warmth of the coffee in her hands. "Fancy seeing you here, Helen," Rachel said, her tone dripping with sarcasm. "I hope you're not losing sleep over that land. It's just dirt, after all." Helen clenched her jaw, fighting the urge to retaliate. "This dirt is our family legacy, Rachel. You know that as well as I do." Mark shot Helen a supportive glance, but Rachel just laughed, a sound that grated against Helen's nerves. "Oh, please, Helen, you've always acted like you're the only one who cares about it. Maybe it's time for some fresh ideas, like selling it to someone who can actually use it." "Why don't you just tell me what you and Jake are really up to?" Helen snapped, her frustration boiling over. "You think I can't see through your little charade?" Rachel's expression hardened. "You're not as clever as you think, sis. Jake and I have plans, and you're not going to ruin them. Just think of it as evolving the family business." As the tension thickened, Mark spoke up. "Helen, maybe it's time we get to the bottom of this. You deserve to know what's really going on." Helen nodded, her resolve solidifying. "You're right. We need to confront Jake. If he thinks he can just waltz in here and take what's mine, he's got another thing coming." Just then, Mark's phone buzzed, and he glanced at it with a frown. I just got a message. You won't believe this. Sam just hinted that there might be a family secret related to the land that could change everything." Helen's heart raced, a mix of intrigue and apprehension flooding through her. "What kind of secret?" "I don't know," Mark admitted, his eyes wide. "But I think it's worth looking into. It could be the leverage we need against Jake and Rachel." Helen felt a surge of adrenaline. This could be the turning point she desperately needed. "We have to find out what Sam knows. I can't let Jake and Rachel take everything from me, especially not after everything I've done for this family." Rachel crossed her arms, an incredulous expression on her face. "You think some silly secret will save you? You're grasping at straws, Helen." Helen shot her sister a defiant look. "You don't know what I'm capable of. This isn't over yet." As Rachel turned to leave, Helen felt a rush of determination. She wouldn't allow Jake and Rachel to tear her family apart. With Mark by her side, they would dig deeper, uncovering whatever hidden truths lay beneath the surface. That moment on the porch shifted something inside her. The sun shone brighter, the birds sang louder, and she felt a newfound strength surging within her. No longer just a victim, Helen was ready to fight back, fueled by the love for her family and the desire to reclaim what was rightfully hers. "I can't believe you did this!" Helen exclaimed. Jake tried to explain, but words failed him. "I can't believe you did this!" Helen exclaimed. Jake tried to explain, but words failed him. Rachel rolled her eyes, a smirk playing on her lips. "Oh, please, Helen, you really think he cares about you? This is all about the land and what it can bring. You're just a pawn in his game." A gust of wind rustled through the trees, sending a shiver down Helen's spine. She felt as if nature itself was echoing her turmoil. "You don't know anything about what Jake feels," she shot back, her voice trembling with a mix of anger and hurt. "You only see what you want to see." Mark leaned forward, sensing the growing tension. "Rachel, this isn't just about the land anymore. It's about trust and loyalty. You and Jake are tearing this family apart for what? Money?" Rachel's smile faded, replaced by a cold glare. "Don't pretend you know anything about family, Mark. You're just an outsider looking in." Helen felt a flush of heat rise to her cheeks. "You don't have to be cruel. Just because you're angry doesn't mean you have to lash out at everyone around you." Her heart raced as she confronted her sister, the weight of years of resentment suddenly surfacing. "Angry? I'm not angry. I'm just pragmatic," Rachel retorted, her voice rising. "You cling to this romantic notion of family while I see the reality. You don't want to evolve, Helen. You want to live in the past." The wind picked up, and the chimes hanging from the porch swayed, creating a dissonant melody that matched the chaos of their conversation. Helen took a deep breath, the jasmine scent now mingling with the tension in the air. "I want to preserve our legacy, not destroy it. And if that means fighting for what's ours, then so be it." Rachel scoffed, turning on her heel. "Good luck with that, sis, but remember, I won't be the one to lose." As Rachel disappeared down the path, Helen felt a mix of relief and dread. She turned to Mark, who watched her with concern. "What do we do now?" "We find Sam," Mark replied firmly, determination etched across his face. "If there's a secret, we'll uncover it together. This is just the beginning." Helen nodded, adrenaline coursing through her veins. She felt ready to dive into the unknown, driven by a fierce love for her family and a determination to reclaim her place within it. The afternoon sun filtered through the living room window, casting warm patches of light on the worn couch where Helen sat, her heart heavy with the burden of betrayal. The familiar aroma of pancakes wafted through the air, a comforting scent that typically brought a sense of joy. But today, it only reminded her of better times, moments spent laughing with her family, sharing stories over breakfast. Now, the cheerful sound of birds chirping outside felt like an unwelcome intrusion, mocking her growing despair. Mark had arrived just in time, his presence a steady anchor in the storm that was brewing. He paced the room, running a hand through his hair, trying to find the right words to comfort her. "Helen, you need to be careful with Jake. I can't shake the feeling he's up to something," he said, his brow furrowed with concern. "I know, Mark, but I thought he was being genuine this time. He promised he wanted to help me with the property issues," she replied, her voice shaking as she recalled Jake's charming smile, which now felt like a mask hiding something sinister. Mark shook his head, his expression grave. "You can't trust him. I heard things about David." Helen's heart sank at the mention of David, a name that had been a source of comfort and turmoil in equal measure. She had believed he was a friend, someone who truly cared about her. "What do you mean?" she asked, a knot forming in her stomach. Mark hesitated, the weight of his words heavy in the air. "I heard he has a criminal past, land scams." "He's not who he claims to be, Helen. Oh my God, I can't believe this is happening." The room seemed to close in around her, the once comforting walls now suffocating. "What? No, that can't be true," she whispered, disbelief washing over her like cold rain on pavement. "He seemed so trustworthy." Mark stepped closer, his voice urgent. "You need to confront him. Don't let him play you like a fool. This is serious." In that moment, everything shifted. The air was charged with the weight of revelation, the kind that could either shatter her world or give her the strength to fight back. She stood, determination igniting within her. "You're right, I won't let him take what's mine." As the two of them strategized, the living room felt alive with purpose. Helen's mind raced, each thought a plan taking shape. She remembered the way Jake had smiled at her, the way he had tried to manipulate her feelings with sweet talk and false promises. "I won't let him win," she said fiercely. Mark nodded, a glimmer of hope lighting his eyes. "We'll figure this out together, Helen. You have more support than you realize." "Thank you, Mark," she replied, feeling a flicker of warmth in her chest. Despite the chaos, she knew she had someone in her corner, someone who would stand beside her against the tide of deceit. But the reality of the situation loomed large in her mind. She could no longer afford to be naive. The thought of Jake and Rachel conspiring against her sent chills down her spine. "I can't believe they would do this to me," she murmured, her voice cracking. "We can't let them get away with it," Mark said, his tone resolute. "You've worked too hard for this land to let them take it from you." In that moment, a fierce fire ignited within Helen. This wasn't just about the land. It was about her legacy, her family. She would fight for every inch. "Let's gather everything we need. I want to confront Jake and show him I know the truth." As she moved toward the door, the lingering scent of pancakes mixed with the fresh smell of rain, a reminder that even the darkest moments could lead to renewal. Helen took a deep breath, her heart racing with the anticipation of what lay ahead. She was ready to face Jake and Rachel, ready to reclaim her power. Before she stepped outside, she turned to Mark, a steely resolve in her voice. "No more secrets, no more lies. It ends today." Mark smiled, and for the first time in what felt like ages, hope began to blossom in Helen's heart. She was not alone in this fight, and together they would uncover the truth and bring justice to the betrayal that had threatened to tear her family apart. "Oh my God," Helen whispered in disbelief. "I can explain everything," Jake said desperately. "Oh my God," Helen whispered in disbelief. "I can explain everything," Jake said desperately. His voice wavered, a mix of panic and a hint of something more sinister. The afternoon sun, which had once felt warm and inviting, now seemed to cast shadows that danced menacingly around them. "What could possibly justify this?" Helen shot back, her hands clenched into fists of her sides. The faint rustle of leaves outside mixed with the distant hum of traffic, a reminder that life continued outside her personal storm. She felt her heart pounding in her chest, each beat echoing her determination to uncover the truth. Jake stepped closer, his gaze intense. "I swear, I didn't mean for it to get this far. Rachel and I were just trying to help you navigate the property issues. It was never supposed to be like this." "Help? By lying to me?" Helen's voice rose, filled with disbelief and hurt. The smell of pancakes from the kitchen felt suffocating now, a reminder of the comfort that had been so brutally ripped away. Mark shifted beside her, his presence a steadying force. "What exactly were you trying to help with, Jake? Because it sounds more like you were trying to manipulate her." Jake's expression hardened, a flicker of anger crossing his face. "You don't understand. I was trying to protect you from making a bad decision. The land is worth more than you think, and there are people who want it. I was going to help you sell it, but I needed to make sure you were ready." Helen's mind raced. She remembered the way Jake had looked at her, the way he had promised to support her. "You thought you could play me?" she asked, her voice trembling with a mix of anger and betrayal. "I trusted you, Jake." "I know, and I'm sorry," he exclaimed, desperation creeping into his tone. "But you have to trust me now. If you go against us, you'll lose everything." The threat hung in the air, heavy and suffocating. Helen took a step back, feeling the walls close in on her. The sunlight seemed to dim, matching the bleakness settling in her heart. "I'll take my chances, Jake. I'd rather fight than be a pawn in your game." Mark placed a supportive hand on her shoulder, the warmth grounding her. "We're not afraid of you," he said, stepping forward, "and we'll expose the truth no matter what it takes." With renewed determination, Helen squared her shoulders. She could feel the storm brewing outside, but she was ready. Today was the day she would reclaim her power and face the betrayal head-on. The rain began to patter softly against the wooden planks of the porch, the fresh scent of damp earth wafting through the air. Helen sat with her coffee mug cradled in her hands, the warmth providing a small comfort against the chill that had settled in her heart. Wind chimes danced gently in the breeze, their tinkling sound echoing her turbulent thoughts. She was caught in a storm of emotions, memories swirling around her like the raindrops falling on the pavement. As she sipped her coffee, Helen felt a flicker of determination igniting within her. Her late husband, David, had always taught her the importance of resilience, of standing firm in the face of adversity. "You fight for what's right, Helen," he used to say, his voice a steady anchor in her life. The thought of his wisdom filled her with a newfound strength. She straightened her back, recalling how he had always believed in the power of family and the importance of protecting what was theirs. The door creaked open, and Mark stepped onto the porch, shaking off the raindrops from his jacket. "Hey, Helen, you okay?" His concern was palpable, and it warmed her more than the coffee. Helen nodded, though her heart was heavy. "I've been thinking about David," she admitted. "He always knew how to handle situations like this." She glanced at the papers scattered on the table, evidence of Jake and Rachel's deceit. "It feels like they're trying to take everything from me, Mark." Mark leaned against the railing, the rain creating a soothing rhythm around them. "You have to stand up to them, Helen. You can't let them walk all over you." "Oh my God, I can't believe Jake would stoop this low." "And Rachel? I thought family meant something to her," Helen said, her voice rising with frustration. "It's like they've forgotten everything we've been through together." Mark watched her, his eyes filled with empathy. "You're stronger than you think. You have to fight for your home, for your family's legacy." Helen sighed, the weight of it all pressing down on her. "It's not just the land, Mark. It's everything it represents. The years of hard work, the love we poured into this place. It's heartbreaking." The wind picked up, rustling the leaves and causing the wind chimes to sing louder. In that moment, Helen felt a shift within her. The heartache that had once clouded her mind began to clear, replaced by a steely resolve. She realized that she wasn't just defending a piece of land. She was safeguarding her family's history, the very essence of who they were. "Do you remember the stories David used to tell?" she asked, a smile breaking through her sorrow. "About how he fought to make this place a home?" "Of course," Mark said, chuckling softly. He had a way of making everything sound like an epic tale. You could feel the pride in his voice. Helen's smile faded as her thoughts turned back to the present. "I need to channel that strength. I can't let Jake manipulate me anymore. I won't let Rachel's envy tear apart what we've built." Mark nodded, his expression serious. "You need to get a lawyer, Helen, someone who knows the ins and outs of property disputes." At the mention of a lawyer, Helen felt a rush of clarity. "You're right. I've been so caught up in the emotional turmoil that I forgot to take action. I need someone who can help me navigate this mess." Mark reached out, placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "I'll help you find the right person. You don't have to face this alone." With the rain continuing to fall, Helen's heart swelled with gratitude for Mark's unwavering support. She took a deep breath, feeling lighter somehow. "I think I know just the person," she said slowly, a plan forming in her mind. "My real lawyer, someone who understands what's at stake." Mark raised an eyebrow, curiosity piqued. "Who do you have in mind?" "Hannah," Helen replied, her voice steady. "She's fierce and knows the law like the back of her hand. David trusted her completely." The sound of thunder rumbled in the distance, mirroring the turmoil brewing within her. But for the first time in weeks, she felt a glimmer of hope. She was ready to take a stand, to fight for what was rightfully hers, and she wouldn't back down. As the rain poured harder, Helen looked out toward the horizon, determination flooding her veins. The storm might be raging around her, but she was prepared to face it head-on. She could hear David's voice in her heart, urging her forward. "Fight for your family, Helen, always." That moment on the porch changed everything. It was no longer just about the land. It was about legacy, love, and the fierce protection of her family's history. She would not let Jake or Rachel strip her of that. With newfound resolve, Helen took a final sip of her coffee, feeling ready to face whatever came next. Helen clenched her fists. "I don't want to hear any more excuses." Jake hung his head. "I'm truly sorry." Helen stood at the edge of her porch, the aroma of freshly brewed coffee wafting through the air, mingling with the distant sounds of traffic humming down the street. The morning sun peeked through the clouds, casting a warm glow that felt almost reassuring. Yet the tension in her chest felt like a storm brewing. She could sense the weight of the situation bearing down on her, and as she glanced at Mark, who stood resolutely beside her, her heart sank. "Do you think Rachel will really side with him?" Helen's voice trembled slightly as she spoke, her grip tightening around her coffee mug. Mark let out a soft sigh, his brow furrowing with concern. "With Jake's charm, she might. But you know your sister. She's always been jealous of what you have." Helen shook her head, trying to push away the nagging doubts swirling in her mind. "I can't believe this is happening. After everything I've done for this family, this is how they repay me?" Just then, the front door swung open, and Rachel stepped out, her expression a mixture of defiance and uncertainty. "What's going on out here?" she asked, her tone clipped. Mark turned to Helen, silently urging her to hold her ground. "We're just talking about the land dispute, Rachel," he said carefully. "Oh my God," Rachel scoffed, rolling her eyes. "This again? You're wasting your time. Jake has every right to what he's claiming." Helen's heart raced as she felt the sting of betrayal. "You can't seriously be siding with him, Rachel. You know he's only after what he can get." Rachel folded her arms, her posture defensive. "You're being dramatic, Helen. Jake has plans for that land that could benefit all of us." "You're just too stubborn to see it." The conversation hung heavy in the air, tension thick enough to slice through. Helen took a deep breath, her heart pounding in her chest. "You don't understand. This land has been in our family for generations. It's not just about money, it's about our legacy." Mark stepped forward, his voice steady. "Helen has put her heart and soul into this place. You know that, Rachel." Rachel's eyes flickered with doubt, but she quickly masked it with anger. "And what about Jake? He's family now too. We can't just cut him out." In that moment, a flicker of vulnerability crossed Rachel's face, as if she was beginning to see the reality of the situation. But before she could finish, a figure appeared at the end of the driveway. It was Jake, his confident stride unmistakable as he approached. "What's all this commotion?" he called out, a disingenuous smile plastered on his face. Helen's stomach churned as she watched him. "We're discussing your claims to the land, Jake. You know you don't have a legal leg to stand on." Jake chuckled, the sound grating against her nerves. "Oh, Helen, you're always so quick to jump to conclusions. I'm just trying to help you see the bigger picture." "That's rich coming from you," Mark interjected, stepping protectively in front of Helen. "You're not here to help, you're here to take." Helen felt a surge of determination. "I won't let you manipulate us anymore. You think your charm can win over my family? Think again." Jake's expression darkened, the mask slipping for just a moment. "You're making a big mistake, Helen. I have allies, and I'm not afraid to use them." Helen felt a flicker of doubt, but pushed it away. "And I have Mark, who actually cares about this family." Rachel glanced between them, her expression shifting as if she were finally waking up from a trance. "Wait, is this really how we want to handle this?" she asked, uncertainty creeping into her voice. Mark turned to Rachel, his eyes filled with a mix of hope and caution. "You need to think about whose side you're really on, Rachel." In that moment, Helen felt a shift in the air, a kind of clarity washing over her. "You need to choose, Rachel. Are you with him or are you with us?" Rachel looked at Jake, then back at Helen, her facade cracking. I can't believe this is happening. My heart sank when I thought about all that could be lost." Helen's breath caught in her throat as she realized how fragile their family ties had become. "We can fix this, but we need to stand together." A moment of silence stretched between them, the distant traffic fading as the weight of the decision hung heavy in the air. Rachel took a step back, her gaze shifting from Helen to Jake, her heart torn. The tension was palpable, and as Helen looked at her sister, she could only hope that Rachel would choose wisely. This wasn't just about land, It was about family, trust, and the future they could build together if they could only let go of the past. "Enough!" Helen shouted, her voice echoing. "Please, let me speak," Jake pleaded. "There's nothing left to say," Helen finalized. The wind chimes tinkled softly in the breeze as Helen poured herself another cup of fresh coffee, the rich aroma swirling through the air and mingling with the scent of freshly cut grass outside. She leaned against the kitchen counter, her heart heavy with the recent revelations about Jake and Rachel. The betrayal cut deeper than she had anticipated. The very people she had trusted the most were now the ones trying to tear her family apart. Mark stepped into the kitchen, his expression serious. "Helen, have you thought about what happens next? You can't let them get away with this." "Oh my God, I can't believe this is happening," she replied, her voice trembling slightly. "I thought family was supposed to support one another. How could Rachel side with Jake?" Mark took a sip of his own coffee, his brow furrowed in concern. "Sometimes it's not about family, it's about greed. You need to protect what's yours." Helen felt a wave of sadness wash over her as she looked out the window, recalling the memories tied to the land, the gatherings, the laughter, the feeling of safety. She had devoted her life to nurturing these bonds, only to have them threatened by the very people she cared for. "Rachel was always jealous," Helen said quietly, her heart sinking as she remembered her sister's envy of her accomplishments. "I should have seen this coming." Mark placed his cup down, leaning in closer. "You have a strong case, Helen, but you need to think strategically. Don't let emotions cloud your judgment." Helen sighed, the weight of the situation pressing heavily on her shoulders. "It's hard not to feel betrayed. I just wanted to keep our family together." In that moment, the kitchen felt like a battleground. The smell of fresh coffee turned bitter in her mouth as she thought of Jake's charm, how easily he had manipulated her trust. "Mark, what if they succeed?" she asked, fear creeping into her voice. "What if I lose everything?" He shook his head resolutely. "You won't lose if you fight back. You have the truth on your side. Remember, deceit can only go so far." She nodded slowly, the resolve beginning to build within her. "You're right. I need to consult with my real lawyer, not Jake's tricks or Rachel's jealousy. I need to stand up for what's mine." That evening, Helen met with her lawyer, a woman named Susan who specialized in family disputes. The office was warm, the walls lined with books that smelled of aged paper. As Helen explained her situation, Susan's confidence was a balm to her frayed nerves. "You have a solid case, Helen," Susan said, her voice firm and reassuring. "We can counter their claims. This land has been in your family for generations. We will fight for it." Helen felt the tension in her chest begin to ease. The battle ahead wouldn't be easy, but with Susan's expertise and Mark's support, she felt a flicker of hope. As the days turned into weeks, Helen prepared for the legal fight, determined to reclaim her place and protect her family legacy. The betrayals still stung, but she was learning to transform that pain into strength. In the final courtroom session, the air was thick with tension. Jake stood confidently at his table, flanked by Rachel, but Helen felt a newfound courage swell within her. The evidence stacked against them was overwhelming, and for the first time, she could see the cracks in their facade. As the judge delivered the verdict, Helen's heart raced. In the end, the roots of family run deep, and even the trickiest of weeds cannot uproot the strength of love and truth. The gavel echoed through the courtroom, sealing her victory. She had not only reclaimed her land, but had also learned to reclaim her voice. As Helen stepped outside, the fresh air filled her lungs, and the sound of the wind chimes from her porch welcomed her back home. She smiled, realizing that while betrayal could sting, it could also forge resilience. And you, on your porch, how do you choose to nurture the roots of your own family? Helen smiled for the first time in days. "Everything will be okay." Jake nodded. "You're stronger than you know." Helen smiled for the first time in days. "Everything will be okay." Jake nodded. "You're stronger than you know." As the sun began to dip below the horizon, casting a golden hue across the yard, Helen felt a wave of relief wash over her. The victory in court was not just about the land, it was about reclaiming her dignity and the sense of self she had almost lost. A soft breeze rustled the leaves of the nearby oak tree, and the wind chimes sang a gentle melody. She took a deep breath, inhaling the fresh scent of earth and grass, a reminder of the life she had fought so fiercely to protect. "I can't believe this is really happening," she murmured, glancing at the porch swing that had witnessed countless family gatherings. Jake leaned against the porch railing, his expression thoughtful. "You know, I always admired your tenacity. I just wish it hadn't come to this." Helen turned to him, her eyes narrowing. "It didn't have to. You and Rachel chose this path. You could have been on my side." He sighed, his shoulders slumping slightly. "I didn't see it that way at first, but now I see what I've lost, what we've all lost." The weight of his words hung in the air, and Helen felt a flicker of empathy. "It's not too late to change, Jake. We can rebuild if you choose to stand with me." At that moment, a flock of birds soared across the sky, their silhouettes stark against the evening glow. Helen watched them with a mixture of hope and uncertainty. "Family isn't just blood, it's about loyalty and support," she said, her voice steady. "You have to decide where you stand." Jake nodded, his expression softening. "I want to be part of this family again, Helen. I really do." As the first stars began to twinkle above, Helen felt a sense of possibility bloom within her. Perhaps the road to healing was long, but it was a path worth traveling. "Then let's start with honesty," she replied, a small smile breaking through. With the wind chimes tinkling a sweet tune, the two stood together on the porch, the air electric with the promise of new beginnings.